Hi there VC, Steve Whitty here, time for another video. I do apologise, it's been a couple of weeks since my last video, which was the days of the week. A few issues, I did me back a couple of weeks ago, but it was all good. Had the Leeds VC meetup on Saturday. I'll do the video for that next week. This week is catching up a little bit, and this is my February finds video. We are on the 11th of March, so yeah, I'm enjoying a day off, so it's given me a chance to actually prepare to do this video properly. So without further ado, I've got a little bit to show you, so let's start off with showing. This is Linda Thompson, and this is her album One Clear Moment, her debut solo album, recorded mainly in America. When she split with Richard, she ended up sort of locating herself there. I think Linda Ronstadt's one of her friends, so she stayed with Linda. This is a very 80s sounding album, I have to say. It didn't do anything. I think Linda then suffered, whether it's crisis of confidence or whatever, but she didn't record anything for the next 20 years. So there you go, that's the first album. These first few, I think I should have mentioned, all come out the £2 bins. So a guy you see in the cheap bins or cheap in the charity shops, thrift stores, is Rick Wakeman. Now, this is the album he recorded with the English Rock Ensemble. And if I remember rightly, it's No Earthly Connections. At this point, Rick Wakeman suffered a bit of a hit financially with the I think with the King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table concert, which they did on ice, and he became a bit of a figure of fun a little bit. This is not a bad album. I picked this up because it's not an album you see that often. You know, the albums you see in the cheap bins, The Journey to the Centre of the Earth and The Six Wives of Henry VIII. I mean, you forget how many they sold and how many of the copies have been dished out and gone elsewhere. So there you go. I enjoyed that album. Another album you don't see that often is Edgar Winter's White Trash and the album Recycled. This came out in 1977. It's on the Sky label. I know Edgar Winter from Frankenstein. I don't know anything about the Trash band, the White Trash. I actually quite liked it. It's sort of in my vogue. Yeah, it's produced by Edgar Winter. It had production assistance by Dan Hartman, who used to be with Edgar Winter. Yeah, that's all right. It's not bad at all. Again, I don't tend to pick up Duff records, or try not to. Another £2 find. This is High Tension's debut album, High Tension. This came out, I think, again in 76, 77. This is very much British funk. Contains the two big hit singles on here, High Tension and The British Hustle. And this is a really decent album, actually. I know I've been to a couple of events where people have brought records like by Heatwave, you know, Boogie Nights and the like, and yeah, they get played, and you know, it just brings a smile to everyone's face. And this exactly did the same thing. The High Tension album, really well. If you find a copy, it's well worth seeking out and having a listen. In the shop, Pete brought a big collection of a guy who's he had a big collection in a barn for years, and he's brought it down. Lots of good stuff, but there was a lot of what would be classed as Americana, sort of stuff that he hasn't heard of, and there's a lot of artists I haven't heard of. Going through the pile, there is one artist I had heard of, and this is the Youngbloods. Now, this is their album Elephant Mountain. This came out 1969. This is a US copy. And I think I must have picked it up from someone showed it on the VC. Headley might have shown it, or I picked it up off a video that I may have seen on YouTube. I do watch other videos apart from VC ones, and I actually was pleasantly surprised how good it was, and I think I may have streamed it actually as well beforehand. Yeah, this is a really good album. Probably the best known member of the band is Jesse Colin Young. Those that are into like country Americana will probably be aware of him. So there's some really good songs on here. Darkness, Darkness. On side 2 you got Quicksand, Rain Song. It's different to what I expected it to sound like, and there was a couple other Youngblood albums in there as well, but those who knew their stuff had been there before had got hold of them. But yeah, I enjoyed that. Another £2 album, Ozzy Bisa. This is their second album, Wayaya. Very popular in the early 70s, Ozzy Bisa. They're from sort of West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana. And they sort of appealed. It was very, again, jazzy, elements of funk in it as well. And what also helped, it got the Roger Dean covers as well, so it was very contemporary. Their most famous hit was Sunshine Day, and probably one of their members, Wendell Richardson, he temporarily replaced Paul Kossoff in Free, just as it was sort of dying, sort of like just so they could finish the dates off. But this is a really wonderful album. You see Ozzy Bisa, I definitely would pick it up. Very influential, I think, underrated, underlooked in the world music section. Certainly brought African music to the front. And this is obviously just predates Zam Rock a little bit. There we go, wet my whistle. Another £2 record. This is Lone Star, and this is their second album, Firing on All Six. Lone Star from Wales. Sort of like rock, metal. Yeah, it's just all right. I was quite surprised seeing it. I hadn't seen this album before. I got the debut album. Good album. Yeah, good rock album. Probably best known for having Paul Chapman, who went on to UFO as their guitarist. Yeah, I was surprised to see this in the £2 bins. Yeah, a little bit rough, but it plays okay, so that's all that you need to know. Next band, final lot of £2 records, and then leads nicely on to the stuff I paid that little bit more for. And it leads on because the first £2 records, I've had a bit of a kick on this band, the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, Bonzo Dog Band, or Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, or the Bonzo Dog Dada Band, whichever inclination you go for. This is Gorilla. This is on United Artists Pop File reissue label. And I've got them back dedicated to Kong, who must have been a great bloke. So you've got on here Cool Britannia, Jollity Farm, Def Cap Cutie, where the band gets the name from. The intro and the outro. Ends with the Sound of Music. Humour's very much off its time, but actually some of it's actually quite pleasant to listen to, especially Jollity Farm on here. And then I found Keisham, and this is not a bad album. Again, it's on the United Artists Pop File label. This is towards the end of the career. So you've got here, You've Done My Brain In, We're Wrong, Look at Me, I'm Wonderful, Mr. Slater's Parrot, probably the best known track on the album. There you go, it's coming already. It's got here, Mother's Please. Note to this record is edible. Very useful advice. And then moving on to the sort of records I played a little bit extra for, I found a copy of this. This is going to replace the copy I've got. The Donuts in Granny's Greenhouse. This is an easel record reissue from 1980s, but it's got sort of like the cover. the debut album. This is the debut album. It's got opens up with Wonderful We Are Normal. You've got here Can the Blue Men Sing the Whites, Trouser Press, and the Moustachiated Daughters. As I said, the humour sometimes hasn't dated very well, but it's a good listen. It just brings a smile to my face. So yeah, I was happy to find that. Next album I'm going to show you, John Cale, Paris 1919. I've got the CD of this. Came out in '73 on the. It's produced by Chris Thomas. I think it's a sort of attempt at Cale to become a little bit more mainstream. So the tracks on here: Child's Christmas in Wales, sort of hankering back, I suppose, to his childhood, growing up in Wales. Hanky Panky Know How, The Endless Playing of Fortune, Andalusia, Macbeth. Side 2 has Paris 1919, Graham Greene, Half Past France, and Antarctica starts here. So it's actually a really good record. Cale can go off in weird and wonderful directions, but this, I think, is quite a straightforward record for his, and I think maybe an attempt at the time for mainstream success. Lou Reed around this time had Transformer, and maybe it was the record company thinking, well, maybe we could do the same for John Cale. I'm going to show you this. This is John Coltrane Blue Train album. This is the Agostini reissue when they did the Agostini jazz editions. Not a bad pressing. It is well known that I'm not much of a jazzer, as they so to speak. I am trying to get into jazz slowly, but it's one of those where, where do you start? And I know about this album. This is supposed to be one of the classics, so we'll give it a try. I know Coltrane can go off in some weird and wonderful directions. I'm not a big fan of where it's too many notes. But then again, I listen to prog rock where that can go down that avenue. So hopefully I can find some in between with jazz. So yeah, happy to find that. Now in Pete's shop, he has a copy of this record I'm going to show you, an original pressing, and that's going for £220. Now I don't have £220, but when the reissue comes up, which costs considerably less, or 10% less, I'm going home with the Bakerloo album. This is very much a one and done record. It features, probably the most known member on here is Clem Clemson, who went on to join Humble Pie when Peter Frampton left. I would describe this album as blues rock, blues rock trio, which Cream set the template for others to follow. Some good tracks on here. But what I picked it up, it's on the Karma label, the Italian reissue label, and they're just fast becoming my favourite reissue label, because I'm finding stuff they put out of really hard to find 70s prog blues rock albums. I showed you the Cressida in my January's finds. Last year I had the Quatermass, and next week when I should do my my finds from the meetup on Saturday, you'll find another record on that label. It did start out as sort of like as a bootleg of these albums, but they sort of cleaned up their act, and some really good pressings and good reissues on that. Now in the 70s, obviously David Bowie was in his prime around Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane. So in America, they found this guy, Jobriath. This is his debut album, self-titled, came out 73, and I'd heard of the name. I never really had heard any of his tracks. Maybe Joe Elliott on his Planet Rock show might have slipped one in. So I was intrigued to find out what this sounds like, and it's very much Bowie. It's very much a poor version of Ziggy Stardust. Nothing wrong with that, because it's actually not a bad album. But things like your opening track, "Take Me, I'm Yours," wouldn't sound out of place on a Ziggy Stardust reissue with the tracks that got left out. This album gained cult following. Morrissey was a big fan of this album. He's such that I can't remember which tour, your Arsenal tour, he had requested that Gibraltar be his support act. However, he wasn't aware that Gibraltar died 10 years earlier. He released another album, and the career sort of stalled. Didn't go anywhere. He was dropped. He basically quit the rock music scene. Moved into the Chelsea Hotel, one of the more seedier floors at the top. Did like cabaret, nightclub cabaret, and he was an openly gay man in the 70s. And if he wasn't getting any work, he would go out and be a male prostitute. And he died in 1983. He was one of the first people to be officially associated dying from AIDS. So yeah, it's a sad end. For that period where he stopped making records, he just totally disappeared off the earth. It's through others where they found out what had happened to him. Next, we've got here Steve Hackett, and this is his second solo album, "Please Don't Touch," released in 1979. In fact, this would be the first album he released after leaving Genesis. This is not a bad album. There's some very interesting guests on here. Richie Havens plays on here. You got Phil Hehard from Kansas. His brother John's on here. Chester Thompson's on here. But it also features Randy Crawford. She provides vocals on this opening track of side 2, "Hoping Love Will Last." This is very much some of it's soft rock. There's a little bit of progression as well. So quite an interesting album to listen to. I'd never heard it before, and it's very rare I see it. I just like the cover. I thought I'll give this a go. And Steve Hackett's big in the news. He's just released a concept album, which seems to have gone down well. So yeah, I was pleased to have that. Just a couple more to show you. Uriah Heep, "Return to Fantasy." This is the first album to feature John Wetton on bass. We're coming out at 75, and it's not bad. It's not up there with the sort of the earlier Uriah Heep albums, but it's not a bad album. David Bryan singing his lungs out, and Ken Hensley with on the Hammond just bashing it out. It's sort of standard Uriah Heep fare, but I enjoyed it, and it's really good. And the final album I'm going to show you, a bit of a tale to this. You may know I've mentioned that I do volunteer my local Oxfam on a Saturday morning, and I get my regulars when I put the records out and tidy the music. And after he'd been in at Oxfam, he went next door. There's a settlement shop next door, just to check out what they'd got. And he comes in, he's got 4 records, and he goes, "I've not heard of these. I've paid 99p each for them. Can you check the value?" And it was like 3 reggae albums, which had really decent value. I mean, the records needed clean, but I knew he got an ultrasound cleaner, ultrasonics, whatever cleaner. And the 4th one, and he said, and it was this. It was Curtis Mayfield. "There's No Place Like America," and he said that that's worth a bit of money. Out of the 4 albums, that'd be the one I would have picked. So he went off and cleaned it, and he thanked me. Sold the other 3 albums with when he cleaned them, and they were in good nick. And he gave me the 4th at this album. I don't say no to Curtis Mayfield if I see it. It's very rare you see it in the wild, though. It's got a little mark at the start of it, but I like it. I do like Curtis Mayfield. So produced by Curtis Mayfield, and you can see by the influence where he feels about America. You've got the White Family, All Smiles, and then you've got the cue of the African Americans, basically with very little. So, and it's a statement that it was held 70s, and it might be a statement that holds true now. I don't know. I don't live in America, and I don't want to go down that avenue of upsetting people. Anywho, that was February's for you. Thank you for everyone that comments. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I do love the interaction. It's the best part of being in the VC. Those that subscribe to me, I am forever grateful, especially those that regularly comment on my videos. So that's forever grateful for you. Grateful for having good friends in the VC and that meetup. As I say, I'll show what I brought on next week. So until then, VC, look after yourselves, keep spinning. More importantly, keep on smiling.